Wherever you live in the United States, there's part of your community's population that suffers with drug addiction, poverty, and issues that have gone through families for generations. Sometimes it all erupts in gunfire.
Reach was stopped. I heard 10 to 15 gunshots.
If we could all switch to BL4 before we get out, we have multiple 911 coming in, said Ridgeway, multiple people yelling, screaming, and running around.
In recent months, there have been several incidents of gunfire erupting around town at different locations, but the most frequent location is here at Ridgeway Apartments. It's been groups and or individuals shooting at each other, not the general public. But for folks who live here, it's made life uncomfortable to say the least. Kelsey splits the $810 a month rent here with a roommate while working at Target. At this point, it's what fits the budget. Well, as you know, I've done several reports here of gunshots around this complex. Does that continue to be a problem?
I mean, I've known it to be a problem, but, I kind of stay away from everybody. Not trying to get in trouble with the people here that reside here.
Does it feel dangerous to you?
I mean, I've gotten like a threat with a knife when I first moved in, but, I kind of just stick to myself, so.
Okay. Does it kind of seem like it's in between groups of people and they're not really targeting anybody else?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
They kind of just go after whoever, Some people are really sketched out, drugs make them that way.
We've had several reports. I've done stories about this complex or whatever with gunshots and stuff.
I guess there is. I usually don't hear them. I'm asleep at that time.
All right.
Yeah.
Does it feel like a scary place to live for you?
Oh, there's some people that might be hard to get along with, but I just don't talk with them too much.
Okay.
It's not law enforcement problem. It's not the city's problem. It's our problem.
Throughout this past summer, Audrey Thayer of the Bemidji City Council has been working with an organization called Village of Hope and others. Thayer says they're trying to fix a very complex problem.
Bemidji, like every town across the country, Grant, Water, name a town, there's a certain population with a drug problem. And in many places, the people that feed that drug problem get into whatever you want, disputes or whatever, and gunfire happens, which has happened several times at the Ridgeway Apartments. But you're saying, it's the problem was a lot deeper than that?
Thank you. The Ridgeway situation, and it is actually the most recent one was not even in Ridgeway. It was another apartment complex. But you're dealing with, when we're talking at gun violence in any community, you're looking at you're looking at a number of factors. All right, so we have to look at the economics of a community, the intergenerational path of a family, and in our present day society. So there's when you have trauma in any community, you will see things like gun violence, and of course that's related to domestic violence as well, with people shooting. So there is a group that started working over at Ridgeway, because when you look at the statistics, that area kind of stood up on opiate use and gun violence. But it's actually, like you said, in every community, but that's not the only community in the Bemidji area or the only location we have some concerns. And I've been around this issue working prior in my lifetime for 10 years with challenges in community when it comes to gun violence. So, and I'm no expert, but I joined this group. I was asked to join them after, right before I got elected, to help with the Ridgeway. We call it the Ridgeway Project, And I've been actively involved since May, and it's a relationship building within the community by people from the community who are taking their time to be in community, and it happens to be Ridgeway. So we have every 2 weeks over the summer and spring and summer, we had meals together, hot dogs and grill. We grilled out. The most recent one was a week ago, just before the Pine Ridge shooting. We met on a Wednesday night, and a lot of money and efforts put in by a number of organizations in the community, and everybody's invited to sit down and have meals. There's also education going on site now, because one of the mistakes I think we've made in society is we set up these programs to serve people who are in need, but we don't recognize that we are in a district or an area here that does lack, like, transportation. So often it's very challenging just to reach out to get a helping hand up, not out, up, because they can't get to these things. I'm being very, very surface on this issue because it is very deep. When we're looking at the Maslow hierarchy of needs, which is basic. Do people have enough to eat? If they don't, then they do things that is not necessarily right in our eyes, and of anybody who has any teaching of what's right and wrong. So that project's working right now, Neil. We're in our how many months now? June, July, August. The educational programs going on. People are going. We have different programs going to them at the community there to offer schooling, education on financing, how to be a better tenant, how to live. And we've got people who are fearful. And I'm over there quite a bit. I was just over there last night sitting in the parking lot observing. I'm always observing to see what's going on in that community. And we are getting trauma community training, so we know how to deal in community. So the people who are involved have not had an experience working with populations of need, people in need. And they are learning so much. And we're seeing, trust and feeling a lack of despair is very real for many, many people. And they seem to, this is a pocket of an area in our community. We see a lot of that. That's the price. Most of our housing in Bemidji is way over $1,000 a month. How can anybody afford that and work? That's a livable wage issue. And so that I talk a lot about in community about how important it is for livable wage so that people can afford to live. And then I know there's another crew working on housing issues because we don't have a lot of affordable housing in our community that allows young families to come in and young people. And I suspect I know that family that you're mentioning because I kind of know who the families are now over there. It's getting so, and we're helping families move to places as soon as they can find an opening to a better location.
Your point being, it's not just about drugs; it's about people who don't have enough money and are looking for a better life. And some of these shootings and whatever else happens when people put in those situations.
Yes, and it's scary. When you've got these unhealthy people who get frustrated and don't have an answer to their own lives.
Just one example of work underway to address a problem that exists in every community. Meanwhile, Bemidji remains a vibrant town, being one of the top tourist destinations in Minnesota and overall a safe place to live and visit, as some folks step forward to try and make sure it's a good life for everyone. I'm Neil Carlson reporting for iNewZ.TV.